Yo, wait. Prydwen has an updated tier list. The tier list has been fully revamped. And to learn more about what changed, click the blog here. Okay. Dude, they've taken all of the characters and said exactly what they do. They've added Apex characters. Well, this might have been here for a while. That's really interesting. Niche characters, Apex, meta, the forgotten ones. Oh no. Oh wait, okay. So this is just a normal tier list, but they've like made it way more specific. So you can try to understand what each character does. That's really interesting. They have half tiers instead of S+/S. I hate it. Yeah, it's kind of weird that they have tier 0.5 and tier 0, but it is what it is. Okay, let's see what they're cooking here. Let's see what we agree with and disagree with. I've heard some people say this is bad, but I feel like if they're getting more specific with it, they can't be bad, right? Surely it can't be that bad. All right, so in tier 0, you have Acheron. And you have Aventurine and Swan. This is really interesting. I feel like Acheron is a pretty solid character. My opinion on her's changed a little bit. I mean, we knew she was the best DPS, but like, I didn't really like how they made her. So I didn't really think she was like super good to pull for like new players, with the only exception being that she's the best DPS in the game. I guess my opinion on that's still the same. I feel like for new players, she's a little bit trickier because the characters you have to play with her, they're a little bit different from like the rest of the game. But if you have her at the end of the game, even as a free-to-play player, she's pretty good just because like she'll have a lot of supports that you may have by the end of the game. And she clearly is the best DPS, so this makes sense for her. What I'm surprised by is Swan and Aventurine being in the exact same tier, because I think Swan does have like a pretty like insane character kit. Like her sustainability is no joke, right? Like obviously, like if you have Swan, you're getting the crit rate buff and you're getting the HP buff, I believe, and she also is going to protect you from death many times. But if you take a shit ton of damage at once, you can still just die through it. So I feel like my biggest problem with Swan here is that like Aventurine just literally prevents death. Swan prevents death sometimes. Aventurine gives you like extra HP in the form of a shield. And he also gives the effect res. I kind of feel like Aventurine's on a different level from Swan if you're just comparing by like sustainability. But I guess they're probably comparing with like the extra stuff because it's debuff, follow-up attack, SP positive, and this is just buff. I would say Swan's probably tier 0.5. Aventurine's probably up here. But that's like a kind of small gripe, if I'm honest. I think Ho is fine here. If we're putting Swan here, I think Ho is fine here. I think the problem is Aventurine just like literally prevents you from taking any damage at all. So it's really hard to like say anything in the game can beat him, because if you just prevent damage taken in the first place, then it's like you can't lose. I think this is objectively true that Kafka, Black Swan as a duo are like tier 0 characters if you have them together. I think if you don't have Black Swan, Kafka's tier 1. I think Black Swan becomes like tier 1.5 or tier 2. Like a necessary character, yes, but like the value that Black Swan actually provides, I feel like is objectively not as much as any of these other characters in this tier, unless you have Kafka. That's my hot take. I know you can play her with Acheron, but that's like, okay, she works well with 2 characters and she like buffs one of them so much that like makes her tier 0.5. But I feel like without Kafka, Black Swan falls like drastically. Whereas like most of these characters can be played with like a lot of other characters. Dongheng wants Sparkle, but can be played without Sparkle, right? Jinglu wants like any generic buffer. Bronya, obviously, but like so does every other hyper carry in the game. So I feel like Black Swan actually doesn't deserve to be up here, but that's my maybe a hot take. I think it's interesting now that like Ruan-Mei and Sparkle and Robin are all in the same tier. It's actually really funny because like if there wasn't 3 characters here, then all 3 of them would be in tier 0, but they don't want to put 3 characters in tier 0, and they don't want to put any of these characters above each other because Robin ends up being better than Ruan-Mei for some comps. Ruan-Mei ends up being better for like the new break stuff, and then Sparkle ends up being the best for hyper carry. There's more available teams for double DPS now, but Sparkle, in my opinion, just ends up being like probably one of the best. My hot take has always been, and people shit on me for this all the time, but I actually think that like Sparkle, if you're trying to maximize like an account, usually Sparkle ends up being better just because Sparkle is a better pull value than Ruan-Mei for hyper carry teams, and hyper carry teams are a majority of the teams in the game. It's just that recently we've seen a lot of the double DPS stuff, and so we're going by more recent times. If you pulled any of the more recent characters, Ruan-Mei ends up being like pretty good because she can do both. She can even be used in single like in hyper carry teams, but I don't know. I'm a Sparkle shill. I shill Sparkle, guys. But obviously all of these are very good. I think if you pull any of these characters, you will not regret it. I don't think you need to pull all 3. You probably just need to pull like 2 of them, to be honest, if you want to just have the best harmonies. I would say like Ruan-Mei Sparkle or Robin Sparkle. But Ruan-Mei with the new break stuff is really insane. I really do like both of these together. I've always thought putting Tingyun above Bronya was insanity though. I won't lie. I understand the concept of energy buffer is like insane, but Tingyun is only more useful for the general audience than Bronya if you understand the concept of energy management. If you don't understand like how to get the most out of this character with the energy management, and you don't understand like zero cycling or cutting down on cycles because of the energy, Bronya ends up being better for like the general populace of the game. This one is such a hot topic because yes, like it is undeniable that the energy that Tingyun gives at E6 is fucking crazy. It's just that most players don't really know how to optimize that. So I would say like for the average player, Bronya is much better pickup. And like for a majority of players, Bronya is a much better pickup. But then if you take Tingyun into account for zero cycling, Tingyun does end up being like a better character. But I feel like they probably moved Bronya down because Sparkle exists. That's probably what happened. Silverwolf, I'm not really sure if she's up or down by comparison to where she used to be. I do think putting Bronya and Silverwolf in the same tier is a little weird, but I understand Silverwolf gets more value now that Ratio and Acheron are out. Okay, I would say like for sustain characters, yeah, Locha buff Gallagher. Gallagher is a really good character. I would put Japard up with Gallagher though. Japard is in the same vein as Event Train. The only downside with Japard is a little bit more RNG involved because you need him to get hit to be able to get his ult up in like the right amount of time. But because he's damage prevention, like most people will take him into Swarm Disaster alongside Fushuan, and that'll be how they sustain themselves through like really heavy hits. I would put him up at least like the 0.5 tier, or at least I don't think he's the same tier as Locha. It's hard to say because again, damage prevention is always better than damage recovery or health recovery, and Japard does that. Lynx and Bailu, I think this is fair for Lynx and Bailu. Zilla in tier 1.5, bro, this is gonna make so many people mad that Zilla's above Blade. I see this every single time I talk about this and I'm like, yeah, Zilla above Blade. People get so mad. I'm glad that they put Clara up here though. Clara is a character that not a lot of people play because she's a standard unit, and they don't like playing her. There's a little bit of RNG involved on the targeting, but Clara is pretty good, especially with the new follow-up stuff. Like if you're playing like Topaz, if you're playing Ruan Mei with double DPS, Clara, and someone else, Clara's gotten a lot better. Tingyun has also gotten a lot better. He's basically been getting buffed every patch. Topaz value as stonks are way up. Dude, I remember when Topaz came out, everyone was saying this character sucked ass. Like, and everyone was talking about like Topaz is like such a fucking useless character right now and might get slightly better next patch, but everyone was saying she was hot ass. Like, I mean, she does have... Never mind. Now, I just hope that Jade ends up playing with Topaz too. I want Topaz stocks to go up. I love her character design. Shrey down here in Blade tier is kind of crazy. I think, actually, funny enough, E0 Shrey got buffed by the existence of Harmony Trailblazer. E6 Shrey is still, like, buffed as well, but yeah. I also think Wealth got buffed a lot by Harmony Trailblazer, but I would agree that he's, like, niche. I think Gwydifen kind of niche as well. Gwydiefen's niche is that if you don't have any of the good units for Kafka or Acheron, you play Gwydifen. She's never been bad enough to not use, but definitely niche is right. Argenti down in tier 3 is crazy to me. I do feel like he's pretty good. Well, this is for Memory of Chaos, because if you go to Pure Fiction, Argenti's tier 1. Yeah, niche for MOC. So like all these characters I would say belong down here. Finally. Dude, the amount of praise I saw people giving Yukong, I was like, dude, I fucking hate this character. Even at E6, like people were like, oh, Yukong does so much damage. She does like 50k with her ultimate. Bro, it wasn't good. It wasn't good damage. I am surprised at Pela in tier 2. I understand. So they put Pela below Silverwolf. And I'm assuming they put Pela below Silverwolf just, I mean, this is for this MOC, right? So it kind of makes sense. I do find a lot of value in Silverwolf for this MOC specifically, but I do think Pela is probably up there. I've always felt like Pela was a unit that was for the general player base on par with Tingyun. For Zero Cyclers, it's a little bit different, but for the general player base, I always felt like she was on par because you can use Pela with any DPS here. So I feel like Pela should be higher, but I feel like the reason they put her here is because they don't want to put her in the same tier as some of these other characters. Oh, it doesn't change based on MOC? Oh, okay, I didn't realize it doesn't change based on MOC anymore. Okay, yeah, so then Pela should be higher in my opinion. I feel like Pela's too low here, especially like E6 Pela. I feel like E6 Pela should be way higher because she works with literally every DPS in the game right now. I guess except for like dots, but even then, it's not like terrible. Once a better defense down character comes out, she'll be trash. I mean, they could make a 5-star Pela, yeah, but I still don't think there's any way she's like trash unless, imagine how strong a character would have to be to come out and power creep Pela. That character would have to do like the defense shred that she has and the res shred AoE. That would basically put Silverwolf out of business. Yeah, with the new break stuff though, I do think Silverwolf's gotten a lot better. It's just that now we're just basically waiting for a 5-star Harmony character that does like super break better than Harmony MC. Because once that's out, it's insane. Let's check out Pure Fiction just real quick so I can see. I actually don't Pure Fiction every single site. There's no fucking way. Dude, Herda main stocks are fucking crazy right now. It's true. No, it's not that I don't believe it. I believe it. It's insane. I just think it's so fucking funny. Yeah, that's crazy, chat. Herda players stocks are fucking insane through the roof right now. Yeah, this would make sense. Everyone get Arcana'd. Robin, insane for this game mode. I think the reason that Ruan Mei is up here is because double DPS comps or triple DPS comps, even with Ruan Mei, are kind of in right now for Pure Fiction specifically. So that's why Ruan Mei just has to be here by default. But I think the action forward and stuff from Robin ends up being super crazy. The break value in Pure Fiction does end up being like okay, but I think the crit crit and the attack buff that you're getting. It just ends up being like probably, in my opinion, a little bit better. I might put, if I was going to separate these two, I do think Robin's probably a little bit better for PF, but Rame is really amazing too. Aventurine up. Yes. Aventurine stonks. If you're doing hyper carry, obviously Sparkle's gonna be up here. Pela and Tingyun. So is this just because they don't have as many enemies? Are they assuming blast scenario? Manual play, optimal team comp, 5-star gear. Wait, do they say what it does? Blast and single target damage. So they're doing the right thing by assuming 5 targets pure fiction. That is the right choice, 100%. I think they're not assuming 5 targets here, which is probably why Pela is lower. But honestly, even in 3 targets, Pela is still really good. So I would say like Gallagher is like fine. I think here, I think Japard I'd move up. I'd probably move Fushuan down if we're just trying to showcase that like Aventurine is like tier 0, but if Fushuan is still like insane character. I think it's really funny they have 3 characters here. Like maybe they're assuming another amplifier is gonna come out and like blow all these characters out of the water. I think Bronya should be up 1 tier. I'm not gonna comment on Zilla, dude. Anytime I do this, people just fucking mauled. So I'm just gonna, you know, keep my opinions to myself. It's a lot better than it used to be. I think it's hard to definitively rank all these characters because so much of it depends on the content. I think the rat should be in tier 6. And other than that, yeah, it's better. I do think it's better. Look over PF again. Wait, is there something in PF that I missed? That's my boy, our general, up in tier 1. Hell yeah, brother. All right, Gallagher for the break, I'm assuming, just because he has AoE on his ultimate up in the same tier as Lulcha. It's interesting that Zilla is tier 2 here, because I feel like if you have like a jacked Zilla, she's actually pretty solid. Clara, pretty good in follow-up stuff. I didn't have good experience with Kafka. I have not tried Black Swan in PF, so I can't speak to this. I haven't had good experience with Kafka in PF though. Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's fine. I'm surprised Argenti is below Acheron, but I also haven't tried Acheron in PF either, so it's one of those things that I guess I have to test. I don't play a lot of PF, but it's better than it used to be. I'd give this like 8, it's probably a 7 or 8 out of 10 for me. I would have to think about it longer. Not a perfect tier list, but it's definitely not as bad as it used to, because I would say like old Prydwen tier list could be like a 5 or 6 out of 10. So definitely improvements made. But a lot of people like to shit on the Prydwen tier list anyways, because it's like a fun tradition to do in the HSR community. So yeah, fuck you, Prydwen. This tier list sucks ass. I get more views if I say it's ass. This new video is called, this is the worst tier list I've ever seen in my entire life. We shit on it and then we refer to it. Exactly. Hey chat, you guys know the name of this like code? Guys, you know the fucking name of this like code. It's called subscribe for more.